how long have you been an architect?
I've been an architect since 1980, when I graduated from Columbia's Graduate School of Architecture and Planning. And I have to say, you gotta love it, because it's one of those professions that is so artistic, fun engineering, and I enjoy going to work every day just to solve a new problem or get the chance to design something. So I do it for the pleasure of just being able to create things.
Great things, yeah. I bet your aptitude tests show quite a bit of aptitudes in terms of creativity, individuality, working with a team. You have some math component. I mean, I can just imagine what your aptitude test is. The work that you do is phenomenal.
You're too kind, Parker.
No, I'm serious. We do a lot of homes, as you know, and we see a lot of beautiful work, but this piece is just phenomenal. The detail.
Well, I love detail. There was a period when I was 8 when my mother didn't know what to do with me.
Okay.
And she sent me down the street in Stockholm to a wood shop for kids. And we started cutting and painting and making boats and boxes. And since then, I've been in love with wood. And so what you see in my work is a lot of carpentry, especially you can see in all the details. Here there's an arch and there are columns on the side. One of the things I love is classical architecture, and there's a lot of rules and regulations. It's actually quite complex to do it properly in terms of columns and beams and curves. So I bring an academic classical architecture to the details combined with my carpentry experience. Now, Louis Kahn, the famous architect, once said, before you break the rules, you need to learn them. And he broke all the rules, but he taught for many years at the University of Pennsylvania, and that's good advice to the students. What we try to do in this architecture is combine the gracefulness of classical order and proportion. And one of my architecture teachers, who was Italian, talked about la bella figura.
Oh wait, say that again.
The beautiful figure, la bella figura. And so I bring curvature into the architecture. So you see the roundness of the breakfast room, the arches, and that's a softness that relates to the anatomy of the human being. So that we're trying to combine that, so along with the details of the shingle style. And the shingle style is a ton of fun because you can do anything. There are no rules. It breaks the box. It's called a cut-up house, so things go like this. You can do towers, round things, and the shingles as a siding material acts like the scales of a fish. It bends around all these shapes. And the style originally began in the late 19th century, in the 1880s. There's famous people like Comedian White got their start with the shingle style, with the Isaac Bell House in Newport, and it's the shingle style is just the same as they did it over 140 years ago.
And I love the woven shingles anyway. I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, all of your lines and flares are just really beautiful. So when you said when you were doing your woodwork, did you say Stockholm?
Yes, my mother is Swedish, and so we would occasionally, and my father was a diplomat, American diplomat, so we literally lived all over the world. And when we were stationed in the Soviet Union, we would go back to my mother's home city to hang out or occasionally live.
And that's where you found your passion as just a young boy, and building things and loving wood.
It is, yes. And my father loved architecture, so going all around Russia, we lived in Paris for a number of years, and he would take us every Sunday to a different cathedral for the first year.
Oh, yeah.
So it sort of oozes into you with that kind of upbringing.
Just building, that kind of experience for you and making you aware of things and making you appreciate things. I can't tell you how many architects I've talked to that just make me feel that the whole architecture profession is very poetic, and all the architects, the way you talk about it, the way you talk about architecture is, it draws you in. It really draws you in.
It does, and it's also, speaking of poetry, it's very related to music, and a famous phrase is architecture's frozen music. Isn't that a nice one?
Oh, I need to just
frozen
I just
music.
need to ruminate on that for a minute.
So
Really?
you think of, you have a melody, and then you have a beginning, and then a grand ending, and so you work things into three parts, and you have counter melodies playing, and then so you can see music theory in architectural theory.
Right. Like the arc in a story.
Yes.
And so, speaking of an arc, let's just talk about that front entry, that foyer, the just gorgeous bends and-
Dramatic curved
Really?
stair. Again, that's that curvilinear architecture that is intended to immediately embrace the person and feel connected, which is just things that are curved, that swirl around you.
and just lead you up.
Yeah.
I was talking to Delia about her cosmology background,
Yes.
and I see lots of things. I mean, when you were working with this homeowner, did you think about her background? Did she give you some ideas and have a little give and take about, because I see a lot of things in there that are reminiscent of, you know, the great universe,
Well,
honestly.
What's so much fun is the method that we design is collaborative with the homeowners, the builder, and the team in the office. And I'm very open to incorporating everybody's idea, particularly when you get a dialogue going, and it's a lot of fun because, and you sit down, like the kitchen is an area that Delia and I spend a lot of time designing because that's got to fit like a glove on her hand. The kitchen's got to be, everything's got to be where she expects it to be. And the same thing with the details in the family room and the master suite and the bedrooms, and everybody has a good time.
Yeah. So in terms of the musical metaphor, again, I know the orchestra,
Sure.
the players in the orchestra.
So I'm the conductor of the design, and Martin, the builder, is the conductor of all the 50 subcontractors and 30 suppliers, getting them to land on time before someone else and after someone else. Very complicated to be a builder. You have to know what all the people working for you do, and they just know their one thing.
Right.
But it's being a generalist and understanding all the parts.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And he also said that he's been working with a lot of these subcontractors for 20 years. So he knows their skill set. He knows when you need to bring in a great first string, let's say.
Well, that's why I've been working with him and other builder partners for so long, 20 years. And with Martin, I think it's been around 17. When you get to know your team partners well and what you can count on, then you can focus on your job and create something special.
Now, is there anything in this home that is absolutely brand new to you that you came up with in this whole process? Does every home have a brand new element?
Absolutely, yes. So a couple of things. One is that Larry and Delia asked me to take a breakfast room we had done for friends of theirs. So we rotate the breakfast room from their friend's house 90 degrees, exposing the long side of all those windows towards the view. And I was very excited by the result of it and the way it penetrated the kitchen space, where you see the curved beam coming in. It's, because you can feel the space of the breakfast room. Almost there's an invisible wall finishing the space, and then it sticks into the kitchen, which is quite stunning. And the other fun thing is that my friend Larry, we had a ton of fun doing this project, asked me about, we had a window well here, and the window well is just a hole with windows in the basement.
Right.
And he says, what if we put skylights on there?
This is above Chloe's playroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
know
said, that's
exactly
a
what you
great
mean.
idea. It's like reminded me of a library, the Avery Library at Columbia, which had a basement portion with skylights going into the courtyard above. And the type of light that you get from above through skylight, I've always found soft and, as you say, poetic. Sort of the soft light that comes down, I find very soothing. And that's why there's a skylight over the top of the back stairs.
Oh, I
which
love that one too.
just makes the whole space, a moment that you can enjoy.
Yes, and I kind of teased her about being an observatory because there were so many things, just stargazing from there, because there's so many elements in there that just reference her passion. That again, just like you, started when she was a child. And talk about the, you know, in the butler's pantry,
Yes.
talk about that curved, where you have the light fixture, that part of the ceiling.
So we put in a round dome, and it was, and I believe there's one in the mud room, and they're sort of fun little events to do at what I call a node. The butler's pantry is like a space between the dining room and the kitchen, and so you sort of, with that dome up there and the light, it kind of sets you there. And the other fun thing is going to a really bold and fun color.
Oh, right.
And going to a high gloss
that teal
paint.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, you know, it's a tiny little space, but now it's transformed into something meaningful as you go from the kitchen to the dining room.
Exactly, not just a pass through.
Right.
You're not passing through that space. We actually stood in there for a while, and even though it's a relatively small space, it had such power in it. So you're part of the color theory in there too, or did you just say
that's Delia? She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
I try to stay out of the way when I have people we collaborate know what they're doing, because then I can focus on something else.
Right. And so, are there any elements in this home that you would say you're absolute, you're just over the top proud of, or is it just the whole piece? Well, is this like you've just given birth to this one baby and you love them all uniquely? I mean,
two things. One is I love this whole outdoor living arrangement of the covered porch with the grill overlooking the pool and descending down, and then the fire pit. It's just gorgeous. The other piece of the house that's unique is their master bathroom. So they commissioned, and Joanne in my office did most of the work, this beautiful floating walnut vanity with the
waterfall.
big stone waterfall going down, the tub floating in front of a wall that you can walk around, and then not having a shower door. Very European approach to bathing and sort of an open spa feeling. And then on top of it, putting a sauna next to it. I mean, it's just, it's like you're at the spa.
Yes.
And as the first time I really got a master bathroom that felt like a spa.
It really felt like a spa. Yeah, no, it has a beautiful, and also the fixtures, the faucets have the cascading waterfall as well.
I know, it's great.
And so your relationship with the homeowners starts out, tell me, like, you know, the relationship, how it starts out in the beginning, your process sort of as a company and as you as an architect.
Well, the secret to success is that a picture's worth 1,000 words. So the way we get to understand what our clients want, we ask them to set up a house account. Joanne has a cheat sheet that says how to do it and how to share it with us.
Okay.
And then they put together idea books of what they like. And when we look at the pictures and I see 6 times the same motif, write it down. That's a flavor. Also, by looking at all these pictures of different kitchens, different exteriors, different details, you get a pretty clear profile of what they like. And then we take, say in this case, a shingle, we sort of tune it up exactly the way they want. We meet with them every other week during the whole design phase and collaboratively try to explain to them how to read the drawings, and then they start saying, I want to move this, how about that? And we talk back and forth, and at the end, and the design ends when they have big smiles on their face.
Yes.
Say, okay, that's what you like. I'll ask Joanne to do the working drawings, and then she'll team up with Martin. We go through pricing, and we off to the races.
Yeah, and I mean the way that their art and the lighting and all that is showcased so well in here. And so House is a great tool for you now. I mean, in the old days you didn't have House, so it must be a lot easier for you to do books.
Oh yeah, no, we say, here's a stack of magazines.
Yes.
Boston Design Guides, and then go to the supermarket and grab every living style magazine and just cut out. But in each picture there are 20 things. So I don't know what are the 20 you like. So you have to take a post-it and say, I like the countertop, or I like the color on the wall, or I like the skylight. then that's how I know
And you
what
had
they
it
want.
customized with that. No, I used to have a big box next to my bed that had all the cutouts from magazines of the elements that I liked once I do build my own house. And I'd keep all these big boxes, and now I don't have a big box of pages from magazines as much anymore, but I definitely have my Pinterest board, and I have my house favorites and things that I'm still looking at. And it's always changing. Taste is always changing.
It is.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And what also the nice part about this house in particular is that it represents the current trend of transitional. Transitional is where you have a traditional layout, perhaps a traditional exterior, but you want to go into the interior or sometimes the exterior and put some modern flair. So you see people now living with modern furniture, modern lighting. They're slowly getting rid of the moldings. In certain cases, this house is molding intensive, but that's part of the richness of the house. But what was fun, so their master bathroom and bedroom and family room are very transitional, very modern. You look at the horizontal gas fireplaces,
Right.
Floor-to-ceiling wall,
Oh, that Jerusalem stone.
That's all Delia and Larry.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't Jan. They come in and say, this is what I like. And what we do is we're good instrumentalists. Like Yo-Yo Ma can play Bach extremely well. We do the equivalent thing, because none of these ideas are new. Everything's been done before. We just put it together expertly, and that's the key to our work.
Yeah, and that's why you've been in business for how long now?
Too long.
Too long.
No, I'm kidding.
No.
I think almost 30 years.
Yeah, okay. And so this is just one of, I don't know how many homes you've designed, custom homes. You don't do all residential, or do you do?
Now I do. I switched from commercial, where I did in New York City, and then in 1989 or 1990 I switched to residential because I wanted to get back into design. Commercial's a ton of fun, but I get stuck doing paperwork.
Right.
In commercial firms, because someone has to do the paperwork.
Yeah.
So to get back to design, I decided houses.
Now, how about your home?
Oh, that's a completely different story. So the joke
Is
about
it
my
Cobbler's
home,
own?
I
kid
take
have-
so the joke there is I take a vacation from myself.
Okay.
So there's nothing, like there's not a single curve in the whole thing.
No Bella.
No bella figura? No. The master bathroom is like a French modern, tiny onyx tile everywhere. Philippe Stark, bathtub and toilets, and the very eclectic. The outside was a 1910 farmhouse, which I dialed back to a 1975 stick style house, which was Richard Morris Hunt's first commission after graduating as the first American at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, did the Griswold House, which is now the Newport Art Museum. And that was one of the first stick style houses, which basically takes a decorative treatment of like post and beam and wraps it around the corners of any house. Then, to make matters fun, I built a one-story Asian villa on the back, hid inside of this, with a huge skylight over the kitchen. And I brought in Green and Green's Arts and Crafts 1900 Pasadena flying mahogany beams and structure. Because it was the time of Lord of the Rings, so the little hobbit houses. So we get these ideas from everywhere.
Yes.
Movies have been an inspiration for me. The stained glass in my office came from a PBS production, and then the fireplace in my house came from a Star Wars movie.
Oh, really? I'd love to see that.
the second in the series where, and then, so I sort of eclectically combine everything.
So no ideas off limit.
No, just it's great to, take a vacation from oneself.